All right, welcome in. We've got 5 games on the first 5 board tonight. We are going to cover with you on this Monday, June the 22nd. We're going to head to Citi Field. We got the Cubs and the Mets. Then we've got Cardinals at home taking on the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Dodgers are in Minnesota. And you've got Boston in Colorado at Coors. And finally, in Detroit, Garrett Cole, with an extra day's rest, is on the mound. Hey, it's Joe Raineri, WagerTalk.com. Let's dive in and see what we can find in this first 5. And the first game up, of course, is at Citi Field with the Cubs taking on the Mets. The Mets sending Kodai Senga to the mound, along with his 9 ERA. He's walking nearly 7 hitters per 9 innings. Give a little perspective there. That's basically an inning's worth of free passes for every inning that he pitches. And the Cubs opened up minus 130 through the first 5 innings. Now let's go through it here because Imanaga is the other half of the equation here. And Imanaga, he's got a 4.26 ERA, but I think that undersells him a little bit here because his underlying metrics, they say he's more like a mid-3 starter than anything else. Now, he's missing bats at a high rate. He barely walks anybody, but I would say he's better than what the numbers say he is. Now, last time out, he gave up 1 earned in 5 2/3. Not terrible at all. But Kodai Senga, listen, his 9 ERA isn't entirely fair either. The underlying numbers tell me he's more like upper 5 arm, 5.75 or more there. But again, that's still bad, right? Because you throw, lipstick on a pig, it's, still a pig. But the walks are the real story here. Because the Cubs lineup, they have been putting up numbers over the last couple of weeks. In fact, over 7 runs a game. And they've got a day off. They got a rain out there in that final game against Toronto. Crow Armstrong doing some serious damage right now. Suzuki right behind him. The bats have finally started to hit again for the Cubs. Now, the Cubs drop off against right-handed pitching, certainly over the last couple of weeks. I wouldn't say a big drop-off. They're middle of the road right now, but Senga isn't a normal right-handed problem. He puts you on first base without making you have to swing. And the Cubs, they don't strike out an awful lot, and they are known for making pitchers work. And the Mets bats, that's the hesitation here because they've been cold this last week. And over the last couple of weeks, they're 8th against left-handed pitching. And Imanaga, of course, a lefty. He could be a good matchup here for the Mets. Vientos and Soto certainly doing their thing. So the case against is the Mets bats waking up against Imanaga, if that's what you're thinking about doing. If you like the Cubs, that's what you got to worry about. But 5 innings of Senga walking everybody. And at this price point, opening up minus 130, 135 in the first 5. Not to mention, I am always looking to fade teams off a Sunday night game against a division rival on the road. And that's exactly what the Mets are at this point. So to me, I'm leaning the Cubs in the first 5. I would look to play it up to maybe about 140, 145. I think the Cubs bats, a little extra rest, finally started to find something. Meanwhile, the Mets, they just dropped 2 of 3 in epic fashion there to their division rival, Philadelphia Phillies. All right, next game we're going to talk about is the St. Louis Cardinals. They come home after finally winning a game against, I guess their in-state rival, sort of, the Kansas City Royals. Boy, did they win, though, yesterday, putting up 12 runs. The bats got going for the Cards. They come home. Arizona can't seem to figure out how to beat Minnesota. And what are they doing? They're sending Merrill Kelly to the mound, along with his nearly 6 ERA. And if we're being honest, the underlying metrics tell me he's even worse than that. And when we have an ERA that bad, and it still flatters the guy, then that's the signal. Because last time out, 6 earned in 5 1/3. Not good. at all. Plus, the bullpen's in terrible shape for Arizona anyway, so they're not coming in with runners on base and doing him any favors by making those numbers a little bit more palatable. They're not. The box score does not do it justice, though. He has been bad. I mean, really bad. He doesn't miss bats. He walks too many guys. All in all, it's just been an ugly season for Merrill Kelly. And especially if he's not missing bats and not striking guys out. This is not a good lineup to face here when you can't rely on the punch out. And on the other side, Palante, 3.76 ERA. And let's be honest here, he has been one of the solid starters for an overachieving Cardinals team because the math behind him matches that number. He's what the ERA says he is, a solid mid-rotation arm doing everything right every fifth day. Now, when you look at the lineup, St. Louis ranks 4th in baseball against right-handed pitching over the last couple of weeks. Weatherholt smashed a couple of home runs yesterday. Win. They have been crushing it. It's a top 5 offense against righties, getting Merrill Kelly tonight, who is a gas can waiting to be lit. And Arizona's lineup, by the way, not too bad. They started to finally swing it well over the last week, but against right-handed pitching over the last 14 days, 23rd in Major League Baseball. And that's the side I'm looking to fade here. A top 5 offense versus a fade offense. Honest mid-rotation arm versus a guy who is at the end of his career where Father Time is kicking him in the ass. Yeah, no thanks. The market's got St. Louis at about minus 150 at an open in the first 5. Yeah, it's pricey, but it's also the right price because I'm leading the Cardinals here. And I tell you what, I'd look at the Cardinals team total over also in that one. Again, probably right around minus 145 to 155, somewhere in that ballpark. But the reality is the Cardinals are going to hit and the Cardinals are going to get runs against Merrill Kelly. So I don't mind the team total on the Cardinal side through 5 innings. I think that is the right way to look at it. Before we get to game number 3, I do want to offer you guys the opportunity to, become part of the WagerTalk TV family. Smash that like button, hit the subscribe button because we are your one-stop shop for everything in the sports betting marketplaces. So we got 3 more games to get to here in the first 5. And the next one, we're going to travel to Minnesota, where the Dodgers, who could not beat the Orioles, in fact, at home over the weekend, lost 2 out of 3 there as big favorites, too. Minnesota, though, they went to Arizona and handled their business, and they have been crushing the ball, too, by the way, scoring over 8 runs a game over the last couple of weeks. They ranked 5th against left-handed pitching over those 14 days. And tonight, wouldn't you know it, they get a gas can lefty and Eric Lauer, 5.37 ERA. That tells you everything you need to know. 5.37 ERA, the math behind it tells me, yeah, that's what he is. It's nothing to hide here. He is a mid-5 to 6 arm. That's what he is. And Zebby Matthews on the other side for Minnesota, 4.78, and the underlying metric tells me that he's a touch better than that. Mid to high 3s, doesn't walk a ton of guys. The catch, he's only had 7 starts on the season, and his last good outing was against a lineup that had gone real quiet. Real quiet. And I wouldn't be expecting that against a Dodgers team that just got embarrassed again yesterday. So the Twins' bats are real. Kreider and Bell crushing it at the top of the order against lefties. Again, over the last couple of weeks, 5th in baseball. The Dodgers, on the other hand, are the other side. And while they've been cold over the last week, they have been overall over the last month pretty good against right-handed pitching, where they rank 5th in Major League Baseball over that time period. Betts and Ohtani still swinging it well, even with the team in a bit of a slump here. So Minnesota's got a top 5 offense against lefties. They get a mid-5 to upper 6 lefty, while the Dodgers' top 5 offense against righties gets a guy who's been much better at Minnesota when he pitches at home. The bottom line is advantage to the Minnesota Twins. I like the first 5 total at over 5.5 here. I do think both bats are capable of getting to these starting pitchers. We do know that Zebby Matthews certainly has some swing and miss potential there. Strikeouts are possible. Dodgers don't strike out all that much. But I think runs can come here. I mean, Minnesota's been red hot, that offense. So through the first 5, I would look at the over in that spot. Now we got Boston at Colorado. Speaking of runs, question is whether Boston will score enough to help any sort of over here in the first 5. Boston's bats have been, shall we say, homerless and frozen, under 3 runs a game over the last week. Some of that, of course, is because they've played Seattle in Seattle. But the game being a course is going to help them. And the first 5 total is sitting at 6.5. And I've seen nothing but over money come in here so far. So is the altitude enough to outrun this Boston offense? Well, when you got to go up against Ryan Feltner at a just over a 5 ERA, the underlying metrics tell us it's probably worse than that. That's for sure. Again, walks too many, gets hit hard. The ERA makes him look better than what he is. Jake Bennett for Boston, he's an interesting case too, right? 4.79 ERA, but the underlying numbers say he's better than that. Maybe around a mid-3 pitcher. Catch is that he only has 4 starts. Way too small a sample to call him on his way, shall we say. Now, he doesn't miss a lot of bats either, and at Coors, that becomes a problem quickly. When you look at the lineups, you have Boston ranking 27th against right-handed pitching over the last couple of weeks. They just haven't showed up against righties all season. And I think that's the way you got to look at this, because Colorado has been crushing the ball at home, and they almost swept Pittsburgh yesterday, and they're swinging the ball well. The young guys there in Colorado are swinging it well at home. They ranked 10th against lefties over the last couple of weeks. Solid. And listen, I think we're going to get runs in this game here. And if Boston doesn't get some runs and they continue to struggle against the right-handed pitchers, I don't know. I don't think so. I think we've got to look at Colorado here. I think the first 5 over is not a bad look at 6.5. Again, the money has been flowing that way. I think Colorado does some of the heavy lifting here. I like the Rockies at home in the first 5, but neither of these 2 pitchers is going to sell me on one being better than the other. But I want Colorado runs. I think they add to it. I think Colorado team total, not a bad way to look either. And finally, we've got the Yankees at Detroit. Garrett Cole, 2.57 ERA. He's only made 5 starts this season since having the surgery a little over a year ago. So there is some questions about his arm right now, and the market obviously is aware of it. That is why the Yankees are only priced around minus 120, 125 to open up in the first 5. Because if it's Garrett Cole of old, we already know that would have been minus 180 to minus 190. His ERA is good. The underlying metrics are also good. He's just not striking out as many guys as he did in the past. But you're also paying for just 5 starts at this price point, right? Meanwhile, you got Framber Valdez on the other side coming in at around 4.09 as an ERA. The underlying number is telling us should be worse than that. I mean, he's a mid-4 starter who walks, well, a few too many, especially at home. He has not been good at home for Detroit. He has been a little inconsistent, to say the least. So when he's bad and he gets hit, he's bad and he gets hit. When he's really good, he's been really good. Last outing he went, 6 innings, no earned runs against Houston. But he left that game. It was tied 1-1, but didn't factor in after Detroit's bullpen gave it up. The Yankees, we know that they have been exceptionally good without having Judge in that lineup here. They did lose a couple games at home to Cincinnati, which wasn't great, but they also decided to give Cole an extra day's rest there. They moved everyone back. It is a rough stretch here for the Yankees and for the pitching staff. So why not give your ace an extra day off? I agree with it. I like the move. Detroit has been respectable, by the way, over the last week. Their lineup, too, they finally got healthy. Riley Green and Carpenter in that lineup. They do rank 12th against righties over the last couple of weeks. So I got two decent lineups. I've got two pitchers that have some issues, to say the least, and I've got a first five total hovering around 4.5. Now, I've got double-digit wins blowing out to right, which tells me left-handed power bats, yeah, they could have some fun here tonight. With Cole not missing as many bats as he has in the past, and with Framber not having exactly a great track record against this New York Yankees lineup, I think maybe an over here in the first five is not a bad way to look. In fact, even a little plus money here with Detroit in the first five might also not be a bad way to go. And there you got it, guys. We got 5 games on the first 5 slate here. Cubs at the Mets, Arizona at St. Louis, Dodgers, Twins, Boston at Coors, and the Yankees at Detroit. Don't forget, guys, locked, loaded. I have a 4% top play here tonight. Very rare 4% top play. Most of my plays are always 2 and 3% during the season. Listen, 162 game season for each team. Yeah, we don't throw a lot of 4 or 5% out there, but when I do, it's for good reason. And I've got one here tonight that I love. That's over on my page at WagerTalk.com. WT.buzz/JR is the easiest way to go get that. Let's partner up here and make it a profitable start to the week. We won money. We profited again last week in Major League Baseball. We're going to keep it rolling here tonight. So head on over to my page at WT.buzz/JR and let's partner together. In the meantime, hit the like and subscribe button. Drop a comment below and tell me what's your favorite first 5 play of the day. And make sure you come back and join us again tomorrow, as we'll be doing this daily throughout the weeks for you guys here as the dog days of summer are upon us. Take the bullpens out, try to avoid as much variance as possible, and let's go have ourselves a profitable week. So appreciate the time as always. We'll see you again for another edition on First Five here on Wager Talk TV. Good luck.